Okay, good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Hope everybody enjoyed a fantastic holiday weekend. And I think that there was probably some super creative ways to celebrate that were going on. But I hope you are all doing well. I hope you're staying safe and healthy. And I know that I think what we are in week 4 officially of all of this, and hopefully, at some point things are going to start turning around. But in the meantime, there are so many things that we can be doing rather than just waiting for that day to finally arrive when we have officially been given the all clear sign that this pandemic is over. And so I know whether it is just regular life stuff or holidays or just trying to kind of get through the day. I know that probably by this point, and I will also speak for myself, maybe you're running out of kind of creative ideas. How can I differentiate? How can this day be different? How can I wake up and have sort of a new action plan that works? And I know we're all sort of feeling maybe a little tapped, a little fatigued, kind of in that creative department. And so we're going to sort of talk about some ways that will really make a difference. So I will do the creative thinking for you today, and then you get to walk away at the end of this with some ideas, and that you can start implementing immediately. That'll make a difference. And as I've said before, this works and this is effective whether you're working from home, you work for yourself, or you have now found yourself in a situation where you're looking for work. All of these tips and tools apply, are effective, are relevant for whatever stage that you are at right now. So, like we have for each week, this is all about still focusing on the little wins, the good news, the positive things that are going on in your life, in the world right now. Things that you want to celebrate. And because if you watch the news for, I don't know, half a second, it is really easy to sort of kind of go down that rabbit hole. It can be overwhelming. It can be a little doom and gloom, if you will. I mean, there's a lot that's happening. So it is up to us to still kind of keep the eye on the prize, still focusing on a lot of those sort of positive things that are going on in our world right now, because there are a lot. So would anyone like to share some good news going on in your world, or maybe something that happened over the weekend, or anything that is positive at the moment? Anybody want to unmute and share? Anybody?
Good morning. Sure.
Good morning.
You gotta always start with something like this for me too. Two things. I'm really grateful for the Minnesota government system right now. I think he and his team have been amazing. And I'm really grateful for how they've factored in small businesses to the overall plan, because it's really helpful financially. On so many levels, paying the bills, basic stuff. But and then the second thing is just the online courses have been so helpful for me to stay, even if it doesn't, whatever it is right now, it just gives me a focus and a purpose to show up every day, because there's in one sort of the way, I guess. It's been really nice to dig in and learn new stuff. So, and to be here right now, this minute.
Well, thank you. We're so happy that you are here as well. And I mean, you made some great points. And, there are, on the local level, there are so many great initiatives that are taking place. I know sometimes it can be a little frustrating to kind of navigate some of that red tape, but those resources are there. And so that is super helpful. And then also too, I will say, as far as a silver lining out of all of this is, it feels like everything you have ever wanted to know or learn or do has now found its way to an online program. And Char, I agree with you, is that, really kind of taking advantage of those also kind of really helps to provide a little structure to your day. And, so now you have a reminder on your phone in terms of when to show up for your new class or a new webinar or something like that. And so I completely agree. And I think that is a great win. So thank you for sharing. So let's dive in to 4 tips, 4 ideas, 4 tools, 4 ways to really make a difference when it comes to managing your career, not just through a crisis, but so many of these things sort of are exacerbated during a crisis. There's really sort of a bright light shined on, so many of these areas that really causes you to take a closer look at what you're doing and how you're showing up. And so if nothing else, this is also a reminder and sometimes a little bit of a cautionary tale that we are going to talk about, because even during the crisis, and certainly when we come through on the other side, it is all about setting yourself up for success. So let's dive into the first one. And the first one, and we talk about this a lot, and Pam and I both are certified in emotional intelligence. And a big part of emotional intelligence is being self-aware, really knowing yourself. And we talk a lot too about identifying your triggers. What sets you off? What makes you crazy? What makes you sad, happy? What gives you energy? What fills your bucket? What zaps your energy? And right now, this is what I mean, is that, while we are all quarantined, this is true for everyone, is that all of this is heightened. All of those triggers are extra sensitive right now. And more than ever, this is really when you want to be taking the best possible care of yourself. Really recognize if you are feeling low, if you're feeling isolated, if you're feeling sad, if you are, battling, depression type symptoms. What do you need to do from an action standpoint to make yourself feel better? Who do you need to connect with? Do you need to exercise more? How is your food going? I mean, really being like hyper aware of kind of what those triggers are. And this also means too, especially during this time, to be kind and generous and forgiving with yourself. So here's a perfect example. So I have a client, and by all intents and purposes, she is the type of person that is always super together. She is on, she is always prepared, super professional, always sort of in control, has it all going on. We know those people. So she finally figures out how to order food to be delivered to her home. Because again, we're all sort of trying to make some adjustments. She's trying to be super cautious, very mindful, not go to the store very often. She orders food. And it arrives, and everything is going well, except she opens up her bag and it's the wrong yogurt. Somehow the wrong yogurt landed in her home delivery cart. And that was the thing that absolutely set her off, set her reeling. That was a trigger that she did not even realize. It derailed the rest of her day. And so it's a small example, but it is indicative of a larger issue, is that right now, so many of us sometimes we're feeling like we're a little bit on the edge. We're a little sort of uneasy. We may snap a little more quickly than maybe we once did. So really being sort of super self-aware of what those moments are. when we are being triggered, what triggers us. Sometimes we know, sometimes we don't know that the wrong yogurt in our in our home delivery grocery basket is going to be the thing. But what's important is that not that you're not going to be triggered, because we definitely are, especially now more than ever. But you just want to make sure that, one, it doesn't derail your entire rest of your day or your week. Recognize it for what it is, call it by name, and then do what you need to do to take care of yourself to get back on track. That is the most important thing right now. So similarly, if you're in the office, a month ago, think back then, if something set you off. Maybe you went for a little walk. Maybe you closed the door to your office and took a few deep breaths to kind of bring yourself back, to get yourself centered, to kind of maintain that self-control. What can you do now if you find yourself sort of spiraling? So tip number one, be super self-aware and take really, really good care of yourself physically and mentally, now more than ever. Number two, and this is also an extension of what Pam was talking about last week. This is about how to boost your brand. So right now, amid this pandemic, this crisis, this is a brand defining moment for organizations and for individuals. Okay, so when you think about a brand is something that sets you apart, that distinguishes you in a crowded marketplace or in a crowded job market. How do you stand out? Also think about a brand in terms of a brand is a promise. It is an expectation that people have of you or have of your organization. And so if that promise is fulfilled, then that brand is really working and it is a powerful tool. What happens if the brand promise is not fulfilled? So here's a perfect example of how organizations are either rising to this challenge and fulfilling those brand promises or not. So we all are familiar with State Farm, right? The insurance company. What is their tagline? Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, right? That is a brand promise. That is what they are known for. That is their reputation. So as you can imagine, especially now more than ever, State Farm is, spending a lot of effort to fulfill that brand promise. They are offering rebates and credits, to their customers, to their clients, because they are known for that motto. And here's what's really important about a brand is that I know organizations, I am sure they had absolutely some brilliant minds all coming together to come up with that tagline that like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. We all know it, it's a jingle, it gets stuck in our head, we can't forget it, it's everywhere. But a brand only works if there is action that attaches to those words and matches. It has to match. It has to those actions have to reinforce the words or the motto or the logo, right? And because here's what's really important to remember is that when the brain senses confusion, it automatically says no. So think about it this way. So here is a golden opportunity for State Farm to fulfill that brand promise and to go above and beyond, to be that good neighbor, to really take care of its customers, its clients. Think about sort of the amount of disappointment that would happen if they did not fulfill that brand promise, if they did not live up to that reputation, that jingle that they have sort of reinforced over and over and over. So think about your own individual brand, and are you attaching action that reinforces that brand? So here's a perfect example. So I have a client who, in her workplace, she is absolutely the quintessential people person. Everybody knows her, everybody loves her. She is super, super successful because, one, everybody wants to work with her, for her, do things for her. She can bring people to the table that other people cannot. She gets people to go above and beyond when other people cannot. It's people, people, people. Okay? But in the workplace, it's so much easier for her to represent that brand because she was always surrounded by people. She has a charisma and a magnetism that is infectious, and people just want to be around her. Well, what happens when you are home alone? How can you still fulfill that brand promise? How can you still attach those actions to that brand? So one of the things is that she spent some time working on her LinkedIn profile and knowing that she is known as the people person at work, yet she had less than 50 connections on LinkedIn. So if somebody is looking at her profile, it looked like she didn't know anybody. She has no connections. She is an island. And so there was a disconnect with her brand and how it was showing up online. Also, too, how that translated online was, being the people person, we spent some time strategizing about how can she then promote other people? How can she make connections? How can she still be helpful? Reach out, provide testimonials, rave reviews for people, being super helpful to other people. Think about, too, the other organizations and in the individuals that a big part of their brand is around philanthropy. Okay, they are known for being, super generous, active in the community, giving, donating, being that person that helps and lifts other people up. Now is the time to make sure that that brand is still alive and well during this time. There are always ways to make sure that you are fulfilling that brand promise. So think about your brand. On Pam's podcast last week, there was a gentleman who was typing in the chat room, and he was saying that he was known for his work ethic at work. But now that he is home, and he also found himself, he was furloughed and he was looking for other employment opportunities, how can he still demonstrate that a big part of his brand is strong work ethic? Right? Super committed, passionate. Think about all the words that you would use to describe you back in the day, right? How can you still demonstrate and show up with those same qualities, those same characteristics, those same attributes that somebody could still use today to describe you? That's a brand. If you are known for having a super strong work ethic, then now's the time to get up early before everybody else. Find ways to go the extra mile. If you are working from home and you are known in the office as that strong work ethic, how can you produce more? How can you step up and stand out? How can you solve a significant problem? How can you assume additional work? Let's say you now have a coworker that may be dealing with some other life circumstances or a horrible situation. Maybe that person is struggling with COVID-19, or there are some family things going on. If you are known from having a strong work ethic, How can you take on some of their additional responsibilities? Right? Reinforce that brand. All right, so number 2, boost your brand right now. Number 3, and again, this is an extension of what Pam was talking about last week. This is your online presence. I cannot reinforce this enough. Pause before you post, okay? And so right now, more than ever, people are just craving connection. People are posting everything. If you've never been on TikTok, now all of a sudden everybody's doing a dance video on TikTok. They're posting absolutely everything. And so there is that fine line between wanting and needing to be connected, because that is critical right now. But I cannot caution you enough to pause before you post. And here is why. Okay? Because whether you are working from home, working for yourself, or looking for work, all 3 categories, this is critical, because your online presence will make or break you. Okay? And because your boss is looking at what you are posting. Your clients, customers, current and prospective, future clients are looking at your social media, your online presence. Potential hiring managers are looking at your online presence. So yes, it's super fun right now to post all of sort of the happy hour pictures, and everybody is having virtual cocktail hours and things like that. But if your cocktail hour is starting at 8 o'clock in the morning, that could be a potential problem. There's going to be an opinion about that. That may not go over with your current boss or your future boss, right? Or if you are posting pictures about, sort of what is going on in your world, and it's not really painting or portraying a very flattering portrayal, because so much of our posts are really a snapshot. It's a moment in time for our lives. But even though it's a moment in time, it's a snapshot, it lasts forever. Forever. And right now, when everybody's kind of thinking that this pandemic, this lockdown is going to last forever, it is not. So you need to be extra mindful and remember that what you post online right now will stay with you and will carry with you for a very long time. So here's a cautionary tale that I tell about how social media can really impact your career. Okay. And so I had a client who was a corporate health and wellness executive. And she was interviewing for her dream job with a very prominent organization. And she went all through the interviewing process. She made it to the final stage, and which was essentially sort of that rubber stamp. And so the final stage was sort of that contingency offer stage, where there was an offer on the table. She was super excited, but of course now the organization is going to do their due diligence. They're going to do their homework. They are going to do their background checks, right? Before the offer is finalized. She had a trip planned with some girlfriends to go down to Mexico. And as you can imagine, one margarita led to many margaritas, as they sometimes do. She did not post any pictures, but she was tagged in posts with her friends. And when the organization was doing their homework and doing their due diligence, of course, they checked her online presence, and they saw a boatload of pictures of her with drinks in her hand, with, I don't know, an abundance of chips and guacamole, not exactly sure. But they made the judgment call that it was not a good reflection of their organization. And can somebody please mute themselves? Thank you. It was not a good reflection of her, especially when it came to health and wellness, that they retracted the offer, and she found herself now missing out on her dream job because of what they saw on social media. So keep in mind, and remember, I know that, it would be really wonderful if everybody sort of made those judgment calls and those opinions on the true person, on what's on the inside and what they can bring to the table. But this is a cautionary tale to remember that your image online, what you post online, is powerful. Does it send the right message? Does it allow someone else to sort of make a different kind of judgment or opinion about you? And if it's not flattering, and if it is not aligned with your brand, if it gives someone the opportunity to pause or to question who you are, what you're doing, who you are associated with, all of those things, then pause before you post. Okay? I'm just encouraging you just to have sort of a different filter. If my boss saw this, what would he or she say? If my clients, customers, vendors, strategic partners saw this post, saw this online information, what would they say? What would they think? And then also too, if a potential hiring manager did their homework, did their due diligence, and saw this online version of me, would they still extend that job offer? Okay. It is super, super important, because I will also tell you, it is not so simple just to delete a post or take it down. It is out there forever. So this is something you have control over. Control it, manage, monitor, and sanitize your online presence now more than ever. And the last tip right now when it comes to managing your career is try to minimize multitasking. I mean, I know we are all home now, especially if you're not accustomed to working from home. The temptation is to put in a load of laundry, then you hop on a call, and then you're making dinner, middle of the day to pop in the oven later on. And you're helping kids with homework or getting them on their online learning platform, or you are managing, parents or family members from afar. There are a million distractions right now. And one of the greatest challenges that I am working with clients on all levels, executives on down, is as we go into this new era, let's say, and it is week after week after week, it is becoming a greater challenge and a greater struggle when it comes to productivity. People are losing energy. They are losing momentum. They are losing focus. Productivity is dropping off, right? I mean, so I was talking to a client yesterday, and it was becoming a struggle to even sort of, get dressed, moving from the pajama outfit to the sweatpants. Why bother? Like, we're getting to that level. The bar is lowering each and every time, and a big part of it is when it comes to multitasking. And so we all know this intellectually to be true. And especially as women, like, we think we are super rock star multitaskers. We're not. Nobody is. Nobody is really effective. So if you feel that your productivity is dipping, you're having a really hard time focusing, think about how much you are multitasking. Are you on your phone, on a call, taking notes, thinking about what you are going to do next? Because when you are in the midst of a task and you get derailed, you answer a phone call, you get that little ding-a-ling on your phone that you have an incoming message, that the dryer goes off and you think, okay, I'm just going to fold a load of laundry. It takes you 23 minutes and 15 seconds on average to re-engage and to refocus on your task at hand. 23 minutes and 15 seconds is the average that it takes for you to complete what you had originally started working on. So if you are feeling scattered, if you are feeling unproductive, this could be a big reason why. So now more than ever, because we do have more distractions than ever, we have more derailers, we have more interruptions than ever. And so it is more important than ever to really, really minimize that multitasking. It doesn't work. It is far more effective to complete the task at hand and then go unload the dishwasher. Then go return that phone call or that email. So remember, it takes on average 23 minutes and 15 seconds to re-engage, to refocus after a distraction. So it is okay to close your door. It is okay to turn your phone off. Complete what you need to complete. Focus on that compartmentalizing rather than the multitasking. And you will feel more productive. You will be more productive. Your work will be a higher quality. And you will actually get more done. Multitasking is a myth. And now more than ever. Right, so just like each time, does anybody have any questions about anything that we have talked about today? Anything that's going on in your world that I can help answer for you? Any questions? Now is the time to ask Amy. And if you don't, I also, like every week, I encourage you, and I'm so glad that so many of you have reached out via email, called me, asked questions. You know, Pam and I both are here as resources for you during this time, before and after. So, any questions? I know Pam is also managing the chat room.
I have a question.
Sure.
How because it's sort of the brand awareness ties into the elevator pitch, I think, pretty closely.
Yep.
And some of the unique things to me, when I run them through my head, I have to figure out a way to put the spin on it that's not just, I mean, everybody can say what it seems like they're more generic, from detailed to to make it unique that it does rise above everybody else is challenging for me. And not in my strengths, because I can list out my strengths, but they seem like, who doesn't have that? Everybody's saying the same thing. So how do you make it really special or something, really unique?
So can you give me an example?
Oh, yeah.
Just one quality. Just give me just one example.
Oh, what you were just talking about. Well, I'm a producer, so details. My strengths are detailed, experience, multitasker, super organized.
Okay, so I'll just use detail-oriented as an example,
okay.
Right? Okay, so a couple of things is that if that is how you would describe yourself, and more importantly, is if that is also how other people describe you,
mm-hmm.
Because remember, a brand is also defined by other people.
Right.
We may think we know, but it's reinforced by other people. And so you're detail-oriented. And one of the challenges too is that, with our strengths, those skills, those qualities that come super easy to us, that seem seamless, effortless, you can do it in your sleep, right? All of those superpowers, all those strengths that we have.
Mhm.
The tendency is to take it for granted, and we feel like, well, just doesn't everybody do that, right?
Mhm.
First of all, the answer is no. But to answer your question, if you are detail oriented, and if that is a valuable quality, and that is something that has really served you well, and something that you can really leverage, I would think about, again, going back to the idea that a brand needs action. So when you say detail oriented, I would think about some specific actions that are attached to that. Actions, examples, and more importantly, results. So the fact that you are detail oriented, make the business case for it. Why does that matter to what you're doing? And so just off the top of my head, if you are detail oriented, what that means is you have the ability to increase accuracy. You reduce mistakes, right? You make sure all of those T's are crossed and all of those I's are dotted, right? So I would start thinking about, so instead of they just kind of like you move them from buzzwords, detail oriented, think of specific examples or actions, and then the results. How does that bring value to somebody else? Does that help? Okay. Any other questions? All right. So, recap. Career part 6. 4 things that we talked about today. 1, be super self-aware. Really take that personal inventory of how you are feeling, how you are showing up, if you're being triggered, what's triggering you, and most importantly, what you need to do, especially now more than ever, to take the best possible care of yourself. Okay, we are in extreme conditions right now. This is an extreme situation that no one has ever been in before. So you are going to be triggered. You may be feeling things that you are not necessarily aware of that you felt before, or you're feeling them more intensely. Okay, be aware and manage yourself better than ever. Number 2, build your brand, boost your brand. Make sure that the actions match the words, the reputation, how you are known. And there are always super creative ways to make sure that your brand is alive and well, even during this time. Because remember, your brand can help you or it can hurt you. And you are in control of it. So make sure you are building your brand, boosting your brand, and managing your brand. Number 3, pause before you post. Similar to the brand, just before you're on Facebook, Instagram, before you post that TikTok video, right? In inappropriate clothing, if that is the case, just have at least that filter on, is this going to help me? Is this going to hurt me? If my boss saw it, what would he or she think? My client, my customer, and a potential hiring manager. All of those things, just before you hit post, just pause and take a breath. And then the last one is minimize multitasking. Okay? We are all thinking that we are just like an octopus and we have 8 hands and everything is going simultaneously and we're doing 10,000 things at the same time. It's hurting you. It means that you are doing nothing well. Focus on one thing. Complete that one task, that one project, that one email, that one deliverable. Updating your resume, LinkedIn, right? One thing, because when you get derailed, when you get distracted, it will take you 23 minutes and 15 seconds to refocus and to re-engage. So if you are struggling with your productivity, if you lay your head down at night and you're thinking to yourself, what did I get done today? A big part of that could be impacted by multitasking. So minimize the multitasking. All right, everybody. So that is week number 6. Not week number 6. It's part number 6. I think we're in week number 4. And Pam and I are committed to going through the end of April. So I will see you for 2 more weeks. And next Tuesday, same bat time, same bat channel. Tuesday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern time, 8 a.m. Mountain time. I'm in Colorado. Yes, it is. We still have snow today. So I hope wherever you are that you are having a beautiful, beautiful day. I hope all of these tips help. I look forward to seeing you next week. As always, feel free to reach out to Pam or I with any questions, anything that we can do for you. And Pam is going to be back on Thursday. Pam, you want to give a little sneak peek about what you're talking about on Thursday? Pam?
I had to figure out how to unmute myself. It is Leading with Grace Through a Crisis, and the topic is the mindset of a corporate athlete. So that's what it's about.
Yes. So you
The
are going to
mindset
want
of a corporate athlete.
Yeah, so you are going to want to tune in for that. And remember, I mean, everything that Pam and I are talking about, it's not just quarantine and pandemic related. These are all tips and tools and information that can help you throughout. That is our goal. So have a great rest of your week, everyone. I will see you on Pam's call Thursday. Take care. Bye, everyone.